What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, what's moving it, and what Lucid needs to do ASAP. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is up 1.68% at 1711 the low, 1780 the high. Very low volume though, so 3.9 million shares being traded. And of that 3.9, most of that is linked to algorithmic trading. So the market is going through some euphoria right now. So AI is really pushing a lot of stocks higher, such as Lucid, because if we look at the secondary market, you don't really see any institutions buying Lucid. Rather, you see so far 4 transactions, all of which are sells. So there was a big one first thing, so 1.04 million, 226,000, 181,000, and then 157,000. So not necessarily the best. So I'm going to talk on why Lucid is lagging in comparison to even some of its peers. But the broader market is rallying because of a lot of things that came out over the weekend. One of which was this. So Trump alluding to a 2,000 stimulus per person, not including high-income people. So market is really rallying because of this, because yeah, of course the market loves this, right? So this in among itself should push like the appetite for risk a little bit higher on a side note. And then over and above that, we did get a lot of good updates. So I think it's going through the final approvals for the shutdown. So 2 very bullish things did come out. So the market's really moving higher because of that. Lucid so far hasn't put out anything today. So no SEC filings, no press releases. They did post this on social media saying Sun, Coastlines, and Lucid Energy, our newest Lucid studio plus service center is now open in San Diego. Come say hello. So this was posted, like I said, today. It came out as far as news on October the 13th, so like a solid month ago, just saying that they are wanting to and going to be expanding. So nothing really crazy if you ask me. So this isn't really a good reason to buy Lucid, nor is it a reason to sell Lucid. But I feel like a lot of days like this, it's very telling on how and what the market is really looking at for catalysts. So I know I kind of mentioned many times that Lucid needs to do this and do this, but there's a lot of peers that Lucid is compared to, one of which is Tesla, others in some cases is Rivian. In case you haven't really noticed, Rivian is doing phenomenal. Over the last 5 days, up 24.2% ever since their earnings did come out. And they actually did cut their guidance, no different than Lucid in 2025 so far. So when it comes down to Rivian, the biggest difference between the two, yes, their bottom line was a little bit better, but they actually did come out with a lower priced vehicle. So they're going to be having the R2, so midsize, at 45,000. And so this is going to be coming out first half of 2026. That's when production and deliveries are going to be starting. So not only did they announce it in a shorter time frame than Lucid, but they're able to prioritize this and get it out. This is my biggest issue with Lucid, and I get it. I complain a lot about Lucid only because they make a lot of really stupid mistakes. They have amazing technology, but yet they've made excuses for the last several years that they can't do this, they can't do that, supply chain this, supply chain that. Rivian just said, F this supply chain, F the issues, I'm going to do it. So in general, this is exactly what a lot of Lucid investors were wanting to hear from Lucid, saying that, hey, you know what? We actually did get this new facility. It's going to help with kind of moving up the midsize. So we're actually going to be having it in the first half of 2026. That is exactly what investors wanted, and that would really put Lucid on the map on a lot of institutions and really push it higher. So similar to what happened with Rivian price point wise, that would happen with Lucid. But unfortunately, we don't really get all that warm fuzzy feeling. Even technically, last earnings, it was asked about the whole Nikola facility that they purchased, a lot of money. It took, I can't remember exactly how much it was, 10 million or something like that. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to double check. But generally, that would have been perfect for the midsize to move it up for production wise, where it wouldn't really affect anything else. But seems like Lucid is just going to have it for storage. They said it's not going to help with the midsize or anything. So I guess nobody really cares what they do with it. But nonetheless, this is something that Lucid needs to do. And so the fact that Lucid is green is good today, of course, but still it could be better. So Rivian right now, just today, is up 9.06%. Tesla up 3.87%. So Lucid is definitely lagging just within the American EVs. Looking at shorts, they are returning 201,000 shares. So that at least is bullish. So that goes to show that they do feel a little bit more upside is coming. Some of that could be just because of the market conditions, because it looks like everything is expanding, most likely based on a lot of the volume, not in Lucid's case, but most of the broader market is getting a little bit higher volume. So there might be a rotation that is starting to happen where money sitting in money markets is going to be moving into crypto and equities. So I think in general, that could just continue to push Lucid higher, but still, I think Lucid needs to really execute, make sure they are 100% guaranteed going to hit their target, and then hopefully it should really move higher. Because if you think about it, for those of you that have been trading Lucid for a while, we're only at $1.75, give or take. This is insane that we are in the dollar range. This is, of course, pre-reverse stock split numbers, but still, cost of borrow average 23.02. So it is a little bit lower than what it has been, but still something to take note of that it has been inching up over the last month. Looking at the options, 786,000 in calls, 491,000 in puts, and then 55% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 19 to 20 by the end of this week. So that's fairly good. Hopefully that comes to fruition. And then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub kind of 16. So I look at a lot of stocks throughout the day, and hands down, I feel like Lucid has the most bearish among the all of them. So not necessarily, again, the most optimistic, but then again, I think that has to do with just institutions not really buying up Lucid. Aside from that, though, there hasn't been any new analyst ratings. On the second, or on the dark pool, you see a lot of transactions, but a lot of which I'm sure is linked to shorts returning, because that's primarily the kind of exchange that they like to return shares on. With it right now at 1751, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. Looking at the 1-day chart, so these are very strong support and resistance points. 1716 is going to be a strong support, kind of bounced off of that general area, so we know that's a good support level. 2014 and then 2312 is going to be the next one target / resistance points. On the chart itself, flirting a little bit with that 10-day moving average. So that seems to be the big deal for Lucid right now. If it is able to kind of gain some good momentum, piggyback off of the broader market, you could see a retest of that 50-day moving average. Looking at the market position though, you see a lot more willing buyers, especially around that $17 range. So good to see level of buying, good support levels being created, but all Lucid needs is that nice gentle push, whether it be, I get it, maybe like it's a week late, but even technically if Mark comes out on Bloomberg and does an interview, I think the market still might take that as a pretty big positive. So in the short term, just kind of watch for that 10-day moving average. Aside from that, because of the recent price action and recovery that did happen, it caused the stochastic RSI to kind of get a little bit off of the oversold to somewhat neutral. So something to keep in mind. There really hasn't been that much in articles coming out. Some articles just saying what's going on with Lucid today, but that's just going over very basic technicals. And I don't believe any human creates those articles. It's just AI created. But nonetheless, like I said, I think Lucid is doing and will do fairly well. That's just because of the broader market. But in order for it to do phenomenal and have like 20 plus returns in like a week, you need to really listen to and understand what the market wants. I think too many times Lucid is just saying, hey, we have the best product. The market needs to bend to our needs. That is not how things work. I very rarely have seen any company for that type of mentality to actually be successful. Lucid needs to understand their market, which right now, for the longest time, consumers have been struggling, and consumers don't really want $100,000+ vehicles. Some people might disagree with me on that, and that's completely fair, but I think the data speaks for itself, and the fact that Rivian is rallying as much as it is a very good kind of sign that the market values lower priced vehicles right now. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Do you think that they are going to be surprising all of us and they do secretly want and have that mid-size able to really be unveiled earlier or not? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.